That's my wife there on the front row. Her name's Carrie Modine, and we've been married for 34 years. Yeah. And you know, she still loves me because she brought me a baked potato. She knew I hadn't eaten. She brought me a baked potato. You know, that's real love. If you want to get a guy, bring him a baked potato. Yeah.
Any particular topping or just a baked potato?
No, it was just a baked potato.
Oh, okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, it was naked. It was a jacket, and it was in its jacket.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, not a full metal one, presumably.
No.
I believe you, sir. Yes, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
When you first saw the film for the very first time, what was going through your mind, and did you recognise any of the takes out of the many takes that were used?
I think the first time I saw the film, I couldn't breathe. I mean, it was such an extraordinary experience. You know, it was such a powerful movie. I saw it in New York City on 3rd Avenue across the street from Bloomingdale's, and those theaters are gone now. But it was a real punch in the stomach. You know, it's such a powerful film, and I think the thing that I was really confused by was when Joker makes that decision to take the young Vietnamese girl's life. There was something very specific that I wanted to accomplish with that film. I wanted the audience to feel the death of that girl. I wanted the audience to feel the responsibility of taking another person's life. You know, that it was nothing heroic, there was nothing beautiful, there was nothing. That I wanted to splash blood on the audience, and Stanley and I talked about it, and when I saw that, I felt that he must have done something. He must have slowed down the film or something, and I called him, and he said, "No, I didn't do anything. It's all you." And I think that we accomplished that. That war is such a terrible thing. It's such a terrible solution to a problem. You know, it doesn't really ever solve the problem. It creates greater problems. For me, when I look at Stanley Kubrick's films, whether they're about Paths of Glory or Dr. Strangelove or Full Metal Jacket, but in each of his films, you know, he's often criticized for being a cold filmmaker, and I don't feel that at all. I think that he's very warm and personable and honest, that he's not looking at world and life through a kind of filtered lens, but looking at it with a very honest, surgical kind of necessity, that we need to look at ourselves, that if we continue to solve problems with violence, then this great experiment that we call humanity is destined to fail. And I think that with each of his films, there's tremendous humanity in his films.
Again, this is in the app. It's covered in the app. But that ending proved quite problematic, didn't it? It took a long time to film. It went through several iterations. I don't know if you can talk about that and how difficult it was. Yeah.
Well, he's talking about the end after I shoot the sniper,
yeah.
Presumably. After I make that decision to take the girl's life, Adam Baldwin, who played Animal Mother, he has a machete on his back, he carried the entire film for this purpose, was that he took the machete out. And the people, if you remember in the film, they're saying, "Wow, Joker, you're hard. You're born again hard." And he gets jealous about the fact that they're saying that I've done something, you know, that they couldn't do. And he takes the machete out and he chops the girl's head off. And you know, holds it up into each of our faces like the Medusa and says, "Hard, who's hard now, motherfuckers?" and throws it over his shoulder. And it was too much. It was inappropriate. It wasn't. I mean, it was good that we filmed it because then you understand what you don't need, you know. But it was too much. But it took a long time, and we. But the funny thing, because I mentioned it took a long time. One of the things that Stanley said about making films is he said nobody would go up to Mozart and say, "Hey, how long did it take you to write that song?" or "How long did it take you to write that book?" or, you know, "How long did it take you to make that painting, Picasso?" And he said, but somehow we asked that question of filmmakers, and it is an art form. It can be something that's just a commercial venture. But for him, it was a great art form, making films, and he said, "I don't know why people are so caught up with this this thing about time, and that, well, you can shoot the movie in 3 months, or you can shoot it in 6, or you can shoot it in the time that's necessary to tell a good story. And he, with a great producer like Jan, created an environment for making his films where, I mean, in the case of Full Metal Jacket, I don't think that we were $10 million or $15 million. He was very careful. He was a really good producer and kept the costs of making his films at a reasonable rate.
Hi. Just wondered whether the actors were allowed to improvise at all on set, or whether Stanley Kubrick insisted that you all kept to the strict letter of the script.
Well, Leon said that during the auditioning of the extras, I don't know if you did, Tony, did you get auditioned by Lee Ermey? Did you have to put yourself on tape with Lee Ermey yelling at you and stuff like that? Yeah. So when that process was happening, they were using Lee Ermey to audition the people that were going to be the soldiers in Vietnam and the guys in the boot camp. And Lee Ermey would get in their faces and yell at them, and so Stanley could look at their auditions and say, "Oh, I like him, let's take him." But while that was going on, Lee Ermey was saying things that he'd learned as a drill instructor in the United States Marine Corps, and there were very colorful things that he said. Yeah, reach around is an extraordinary one. So they took the things that Lee Ermey said and had them transcribed and typed up, and then they went through and picked through. Leon said it was 1,500 pages of stuff that Lee Ermey, different things Lee Ermey said. I don't think that's possible. It could have been 1,500 pages, but I won't argue because I didn't see them.
The problem was he couldn't repeat.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he couldn't, yeah.
It was an endless.
Yeah. He said he couldn't repeat the well, go ahead, you have the microphone now.
And once we decided to let him play the part, which was well into his rehearsing it. Leon then worked with him and said, "Okay, you got to stick to this. Now let's write it down, learn the line, and don't vary it. Otherwise, we can't cut the film."
Because he wasn't a trained actor. He was what he was. He's a United States Marine, and whatever he was feeling at that particular moment, whatever he might have seen in a person's eyes, that's what he wanted to say. Like, how tall are you? I didn't know they stacked shit that high. You're from Texas. Only steers and queers come from Texas. I mean, all those kind of crazy things that he said. But there was improvisation. It's funny because people assume that because he was Stanley Kubrick that there was no deviation in the things, but part of that how did you say it, Jan, just now, that it takes time to make a movie? It takes...
Well,
what
I said, it is easy to make a film, but it's very hard to make a good film.
Yeah.
And a great film, I must say, is almost a miracle. Like any great symphony, any great painting, any great novel, it doesn't happen that easily.
Yeah.
And for example, just the beginning of Full Metal Jacket is a concentration of unrealistic reality. And in that respect, it's like Shakespeare. I mean, nobody would ever say, "Oh, Romeo and Juliet is totally unrealistic. They get married the next day." That's not the point.
Yes. But there was an improvisational method of him trying to find in Vivian's documentary film, the little pieces that we have. I'm in the trailer with Vincent D'Onofrio, and we're trying to figure out what to say in that final scene in the latrine when the drill instructor gets shot. And Stanley says, I'm improvising dialogue, and Stanley says it's the right emotion, it's the wrong, it's too many words. So how do we take all those words and condense that into a few words? Are those live rounds? Yes. Full Metal Jacket, so to find the right words is the trick, so through the improvisation, you find the right way to effectively and economically tell the story.
So what was that scene like scripted then in the latrine?
I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't
longer,
know,
presumably, or
it was different. I mean, there was another scene that was changed quite dramatically when I meet Adam Baldwin in the pagoda in Vietnam, and he says what was scripted was he says you're a combat photographer. You seen any combat? and I stick my M16 under his chin, was scripted, and I say, look, man, I got twice as many hours in country as you. Get out of my face or I'm going to blow your fucking head off, or something like that. And it was very kind of, if I were Clint Eastwood, I could have pulled it off, and I'm not Clint Eastwood. So Stanley said, it's not working. Let's go to the trailer and have a talk. And he said, you know, what would you do back in Utah if some guy like Adam Baldwin came up and tried to make a fight with you? And I said, a guy like Adam Baldwin? I'd make a joke. Really? You'd make a joke? Yeah, I'd make a joke. Because a big guy like Adam Baldwin's not a threat. The guys that I'd had trouble in my life with were little tough guys, fireplugs, guys like Arliss Howard that played cowboy. Those are the dangerous guys. Those are the guys that want to take off a big guy's head. So I would treat them differently. Really, you'd make a joke. And what kind of joke? And I said, well, you know, there's some great stuff in the book where, you know, the John Wayne lines, only after you eat the peanuts out of my shit. And so that scene came out of the fact that a scene that was scripted didn't work, and I wasn't the right actor to deliver the scene as scripted. So it came through an improvisational process.
I think we got time for a couple of last questions. Yes, once again, back in the front row. Thank you.
Okay, so do you remember about the rule that you mentioned earlier? Yeah.
Kubrick's rule.
Oh,
the rule,
Yeah. So I just wonder, what do you think about building a community area within the application? Because I just experienced, you two were talking and people were very engaged, and it's exciting. So I just wonder if you have some kind of community area building in application so that people have the opportunity to share experience or comment or pictures. It's make it more fun, basically.
Yeah. We talked about doing it. I mean, for instance, like with my friend Tony, that the interesting thing about the making of the film is what I want to call this area of the Full Metal Jacket Diary iPad app is Full Metal Jacket Rashomon. Because Rashomon is a film about how something happens and everybody has a different perspective and a different way of interpreting what it was that happened. And this is the case with the film, that everybody that worked on the film has a different impression, a different story about how Lee Ermey got the job, for instance, that because he was a technical advisor on the film who became, they replaced the actor that was playing the part with Lee Ermey. Now I have my version of the story of what happened, and I've heard, met other actors that worked on the film, and everybody had a different interpretation, a different story about how Lee Ermey got the job, that he beat somebody up, that that he always planned on taking the job away from this guy named Tim Colcheri. Everybody. So that this kind of dialogue of sharing ideas and experiences about what happened is very interesting, because everybody has a different perspective. So it's Full Metal Jacket Rashomon. Yeah.
So could you go back and amend the app, perhaps, and include that sort of stuff?
Yeah. If the app is successful, if you all go home and download the app tonight,
smooth. I like it.
It's on sale now too. I mean, it's you get the first chapter for free.
Yep.
And then it's I don't know how much it is in pounds. It's probably £6, £7.
$6.99, I believe.
$6.99.
$6.99.
Come on.
And yes, please. There's a lady over here. Thank you.
Hello. Do you think you could do a follow-up film to, as a returning veteran to Vietnam, either as the Joker or maybe the son of the Joker, or do a similar thing to Jesus Was a Commie?
Did you see Jesus Was a Commie?
Yes, that was the word.
Isn't it really good? Isn't it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
This is, communism has a particular kind of power in America. The word communism, it's evil, it's the Antichrist, it's the destruction of the planet. And so I made this film called Jesus Was a Commie. It's really not about Jesus or communism, but it's about humanity and about people working together to solve problems. That the problems that we face environmentally, politically, religiously are much bigger than the problems that, I mean, it's a really good film. You can see it online for free. Jesus Was a Commie on Film Annex, or if you just Google Jesus Was a Commie, Matthew Modine, you'll find the film. And follow me on Twitter, and I'll tell you how, yeah, Matthew Modine, at Matthew Modine, and I'll give you a link to it. And I'm really good on Twitter. I like responding. I think it's a fascinating, did I meet you on Twitter? Yeah? What's your name on Twitter? At 37 Films. How you doing, 37 Films?
Is
But
that
I
your real
do,
name?
right? I'm really good about responding. Yeah, yeah. And my wife hates me for it because I'm always. She doesn't hate me, no. It's interesting because Carrie thinks that, you know, she said this, and I always think about it, that John Lennon might still be alive if he'd had if Twitter would have existed at that time and he had an account, because it's such a great way for somebody like John Hinckley to be able to have the kind of experience that he wanted to have with. I don't think I have any John Hinckley's, but I might. You see, that's the interesting thing about it. And if I did, would I block them?
That's always the question, isn't it? And just to follow up on what the lady asked, would you ever consider? I mean, do actors consider what may have become of their characters after the film?
To get back to your question, yeah. That's an interesting idea. Yeah, it could be the son of Joker, which is a good title, Son of Joker. You know what? I told Stanley Kubrick, I said we should call it, because when people in London at that time, when they say, "What's the movie you're making?" I say, "Full Metal Jacket," and they say, "Bull Metal Jacket?" No, Full Metal Jacket. What's that? Full Metal Jacket. What is it? I said, "Well, it's a casing on a bullet," and you'd spend 5 minutes explaining the film to them, and they go, "It's not a good title," and so I came up with Euthanasia. Euthanasia. And but spelled Y-O-U-T-H, not euthanasia, E-U. Don't ask me to spell it. And Stanley just looked at me like that was the stupidest thing. He broke the rule. He broke the rule. He looked at me like no. It's Full Metal Jacket's a good title, is what he said. He didn't say it was stupid. He said it's Full Metal Jacket is a good title, and it is. I mean, how great is Full Metal Jacket? It's amazing. You know how many. This movie has become part of the zeitgeist of there's so many things that there's Full Metal yogurt, I mean it's become part of the lexicon. Yeah.
So many great lines have entered the zeitgeist as well.
When the film was coming out, there was the early stages of rap, and there was 2 Live Crew, and they made a song called "Oh Me So Horny, Me Love You Long Time," and they sampled. Do you know that? Yeah. And they sampled a piece of. They were Warner Brothers artists. They sampled a piece of the actress who said, "Oh, me so horny, me love you long time," and they put it in the song. And I mean, it's so cool. Yeah. It's so cool to be a part of a film that's part of culture.
And I've got to let you go, Matthew. But did you keep the camera? Are you still using the camera?
I still
Are you still
have,
writing diaries?
I had someone's the camera that I had. I was staying in a little house making a movie, Jack and the Beanstalk, the real story, here in London. And when people see, I didn't know about pantomimes. See, pantomime in America is Marcel Marceau, and I learned about British pantomime. Because I'd say to people, I'm doing Jack and the Beanstalk, and they went, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "What are you sorry about?" And they said, "Well, you're doing panto?" And I said, "No, I'm doing a movie called Jack and the Beanstalk." "It's a panto?" "No." They thought that my career had gotten so bad that I was doing British pantomimes. Yeah, I didn't know what it meant. But anyway, I was staying in Hampstead in a really nice neighborhood. And I had the camera at the window, and somebody took a cobblestone and put it through the window and stole my camera bag, my passport, and yeah.
Oh man!
Yeah. But I got a new one. But there is something, and Stanley Kubrick knew this, that there's something about lenses. Sometimes the person that makes the lens captures magic, and the lens has the ability to capture light in a way that other lenses don't. And the lens that was on the camera that I used on Full Metal Jacket was a magic piece of glass. It was a magic camera, and I've got a new Rolleiflex, and it just doesn't have the magic that one had.